Good morning, class. Standard 9 and 10 History. Chapters National Movements 1935 onwards. Continuations. That is Quit India Movement. What is the Quit India Movements? This is a crucial time. Gandhiji and along with the Congress leaders, they taken resolutions because these Quit India movements during Second World War it was happened. Finally they took decisions. The British must quit India and leave the Indian people. So what is the Quit India movement? Circumstances arised. So circumstances leading to Quit India movements. First one, provincial elections. Second one, outbreak of Second World War and the August offer of 1940. Japanese threat. Next, Crypt Missions. The Japanese threat, because during Second World War, the Japanese force sitting at Assam border, that is Burma side, then Assam, they were sitting and to attack on India. So Japan is not against Indian people, only against the Britishers. So Gandhiji made clear voice, the situation do or die. So Japanese love Indians, Japanese hate British people. That's why Gandhiji said, British, please quit it and go out from India. That was systems late. Now, provincial elections, result and implications. As per Government of India Act 1935, election to the provincial legislatures were held in 1937. The first in 6 provinces, Orissa, Bihar, UP, the central provinces, Madras and Bombay, Congress ministers were formed. Then Congress ministers were formed in Northwest Frontier provinces, that is NWFB and Assam. The Muslim League had not done so well in the election. The Congress ministers functioned well and stressed on welfare measures like education, local self-government, and even fundamental rights. Now, outbreak of the Second World War and August offer. The Second World War broke out in 1939. Unfortunately, the British fighting in the Second World War involved India without discussing the matter with the Congress. The Congress Working Committee wanted freedom for India too. How could India be accepted to fight for freedom of others when she was not free? Was a common opinion at this time. In protest, the Congress resigned in October 1939. The Muslim League celebrated 22 December 1939 as a day of deliverance from the Congress rules and promised all help to British in the war on the conditions that no constitutional scheme would be finalized without its approval. The Congress renewed a demand for complete independence. It was prepared to lend support to Britain in its war against Germany on the condition that independence would be given as soon as war was over. That is their demand. After Second World War, you have to give freedom to the Indians. At this time, the war situation in Europe was worsening. The Germans were attacking one country after another. On 8th August 1940, Viceroy Linglithgow made a new proposal what is generally called the August offer to end the deadlock which had occurred during the Second World War, but the offer fell through. Now, Japanese threat. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor and its victories over Philippines and Malaya worried the Allies. With the Japanese victory over Burma, it was at India's door. The Japanese threat to attack India was so real that Jawaharlal Nehru had advised people to be ready to defend if themselves using guerrilla tactics it required. Next, Crypt Missions. Purpose: to secure India's cooperations in the Second World War, along with pressure from the USA. Missions called the Crypt Missions was sent to India in 1942. Proposals of the Crypt Missions. Sir Stafford Cripps put forward the following proposal to win over Indian public support. Immediately, the Indian could participate in the legislative functioning of the country. The British would only control defense. The Constituent Assembly would be set up after the war to write the constitutions. India would be made dominion after the war. The princely state would have the choice to remain or not in the Indian Union. Any province which did not want to follow the constitution could drop their own constitutions. An agreement between the body drafting the constitution and the British should be signed to settle all problems arising out of the transfer of power. This and all failure. Crypt Mission finally it was failed. Now what is a failure? The mission failed to solve India's constitutional problem that led to discontent and anger among the Indians. The Congress was not happy as even dominion status should be granted. After the war, this plan also seemed to lead the division of the country finally. The representatives of the princely states would be nominated by the rulers, not elected by the people. The Muslim League was not happy because it wanted Pakistan. The proposal did not involve granting Muslims a separate state of Pakistan. Now, importance of coming Quit India resolutions. The Crypt Missions had failed, communal tension had worsened, there was unrest in the country. The Quit India resolution was passed by the Congress Working Committee at Wardha in July 1942. This was ratified in the Mumbai session of All India Congress Committee on 8th August 1942. Now, impact of the Quit India movement. Prominent leaders of the Congress, including Gandhiji, were arrested. Leaderless and scared people took violence. Violence was directed towards government property. People attacked police stations, government buildings, all means of transport and communications. Jayaprakash Narayan, Ram Manohar Lohia, and Arunas Asif Ali were some of the leaders of this movement. The slogan, "Do or Die," echoed everywhere. The movement spread across different parts of the country. Powerhouses were attacked, roads were blocked. The government used its full might to be cool this movement. It was like war of the government with the people. Jawaharlal Nehru felt that about 10,000 people were killed. Official figure put to the toll at 940 killed. The Quit India movement did not get the British to quit India, but It took the foundation of the British Empire. It showed the British that now the Indian would dare to anything to gain independence. The number of patriots took to violence. Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru were sentenced to death for their fight using violence against the British. The hanging of these three shook the nations. Chandrasekhar Azad, Ram Prasad Bismil, and Ashakula were also great revolutionaries. It aroused the Indians feeling nationalism, sacrifices, and confidence, and made it clear to the British that their days in India were numbered, as now the Indians would accept only total independence. So this is the Quit India moments. For your examinations, you have to remember Quit India resolutions, impact of the Quit India movements, Crypt Missions, failure and proposals. And coming to the MCQ questions, you must remember name of the leader, year, place, and event. Leader's name must be years, date, place. The fourth thing you have to remember for MCQ questions. So likewise, who is the leader of the Congress? The option will be there, like to the Sunil Kumar, Gandhiji, Jawaharlal Nehru, or Patabi Raman. Likewise, the four option will be there. You have to choose the correct answer in that. On question, four option will be there. Sometimes it will take none of the above. Sometimes the answer will be the above the all. Question likewise will come. So next, for this period onwards, this week onwards, I will give the MCQ question for your examinations. Prepare according to that questions. Read carefully. Name of the leaders, year, place, and date. These four things you have to remember for yourself for MCQ questions particularly. Good morning class. Stay safe. Stay home.